All right, let's just jump right into it. We've all been there, right? You're trying to sign up for something, maybe buy some concert tickets or just log into your account, and bam, you hit that digital wall, that little box that makes you prove you're not a robot. It's got to be one of the most common and, let's be honest, annoying things we do online. So have you ever wondered, what's the deal with that thing anyway?
Yep, this phrase. We've all seen it 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways. Click the little box, find all the buses, try to figure out what those wavy letters are supposed to be. It kind of feels like a weird little speed bump on the internet highway.
So why? Why is the internet so obsessed with making sure we're real? Why do we have to keep proving we're human over and over again? Well, the answer actually takes us all the way back to the Wild West days of the web, and it's all about a constant battle that's still being fought today.
To really get why this gate is here, you first have to understand what it's guarding against. And the enemy, in this case, is something called a bot.
You know, you have to imagine the early internet like a brand new town where all the doors were unlocked. It was built for people to explore and connect. But then these automated programs, these bots, showed up, and they could do things at a speed no human ever could, and not all of them had good intentions.
The thing is, these malicious bots were causing absolute chaos. We're talking about programs that could buy up every single concert ticket in less than a second, flood websites with spammy comments, steal all the content from a site, and even just totally crash websites by flooding them with requests. The internet basically needed a bouncer at the door.
So the problem was pretty clear. How do you let all the good guys, the humans, in while keeping all the bad bots out? The solution came out of Carnegie Mellon University back in 2000, and it was just so simple, it was brilliant.
They gave it this name, CAPTCHA, and that ridiculously long name is actually the perfect description of what it is. It's a type of Turing test, a test to figure out if you're a person or a machine. The whole trick was finding something that was super easy for a human to do, but almost impossible for a computer.
And this right here shows you the magic of that original idea. On the left, you see how our brains, which are just incredible pattern-finding machines, can look at that messy, warped text and go, oh yeah, that's 8W, easy. But a computer back then, all it saw was what's on the right, a meaningless soup of pixels. It was the perfect lock for the digital door.
But of course, that's not where the story ends. Technology never stands still. The bots didn't stay dumb forever. People started programming them to get better and better at reading images, and so began this huge technological cat-and-mouse game. As the bots got smarter, the tests had to get way more clever.
You can really see that evolution here. It kicked off in the early 2000s with that distorted text we just talked about. But then, something really interesting happened in the mid-2000s with something called reCAPTCHA. Then, as computers got better, we moved into the 2010s with image recognition. Click every picture with a crosswalk. And now, today, the test is often completely invisible. But hold on, I want to go back to that second step for a second, because there was something amazing going on behind the scenes.
I'm not kidding. For years, every single time you typed out those two weird squiggly words to prove you were a human, you were secretly taking part in one of the biggest book-saving projects in history. And you probably had no idea.
Okay, this is how they pulled it off. It's so cool. Look at step 1. Google was scanning millions of old books, but their computers would get stuck on a word they just couldn't recognize. So what they do? Step 2. They took that mystery word and paired it with a word the computer did know. And then, step 3, they showed both to you. When you typed in both words, you were confirming the word they knew, but more importantly, you were teaching the computer the word it didn't know. Do that millions of times with millions of people, and suddenly, we all help digitize huge libraries without even realizing it.
But that cat-and-mouse game, it just kept going. AI got so good it can not only read the distorted text, but it could actually pick out traffic lights better than most of us can. The old tests were officially broken. So, the whole idea of the test had to change.
I mean, this chart really says it all. The difference between what a human and a machine could do on these tests has basically disappeared. In fact, on a lot of them, AI is now better than us. So, if a bot can pass the bot test, how in the world do you tell who's human?
Well, the solution was to stop asking what you know and to start watching what you do. The test today isn't an exam anymore, it's an observation. It's all about your behavior.
This is what that simple "I'm not a robot" checkbox is actually doing. It's looking at all these invisible signals in the background. How did your mouse move towards the box? Was it in a perfectly straight, robotic line, or was it a little shaky and organic? What's the rhythm of your typing? How are you scrolling down the page? All these tiny, imperfect, human signals are the new way we prove who we are online.
And that leaves us with a pretty wild final thought. We started this whole thing with a simple test that computers just couldn't beat. Now we're at a point where the test is watching our most subtle human tics. But as AI gets better and better at faking those behaviors, that line is going to get blurrier and blurrier. So what's the next test going to be? And what does it even mean to prove you're human in a world where a machine can act just like one?